Good evening and welcome to the VoiceWorks page. It's Suze Cooper here, and I'm here tonight with Peter Stewart, bringing you another of our VoiceWorks live stream, which is relatively regular over here on our Facebook page. So yeah, it's great to be here this evening. We're going to speak a little bit more about the General Assembly meetup that we went to actually last week. It was organised by a guy called James Tang. There was lots of interesting stuff that we picked up there. It was all about as voice commerce, so buying things using our voice, and we picked up lots of interesting stuff, didn't we, Peter?
Absolutely. So last week we were talking about one of the presentations from Kane Sims with lots of facts and lots of figures and several examples as well, talking about how various companies have been using voice skills to actually make some money, which is always a good thing, isn't it? And we mentioned Virgin Trains, and we also talked about frictionless processes to help engage people with their skills and helping them kind of, well, part with their money, but that sounds a bit mercenary, doesn't it? But helping to provide a service, helping to answer and solve people's problems and so on. And also we talked about the really interesting stat that Kane brought us, and that was how conversion with ambient sounds, which has got to be one of the most successful niches in voice skills at the moment, from trial to free, that conversion went is around about 2% conversion rate, but the conversion rate from trial to paid is 90%. So there are several ways that you can make money. So let's continue with another of the speakers and our kind of précis, if you like, of what they were saying. And Ravi from Voxley Digital spoke. Now, Voxley Digital is actually based in Paddington, and they've got 20 to 30 really big brand projects on the go, and really supporting very often big major films like Spider-Man and also Charlie's Angels.
That's right. And it was really interesting what he said. He said that their mission is to help organizations put voice first. He said there are an awful lot of these devices, Alexa devices and Google Assistants. Everybody seems to have one in their home, but actually businesses and creators don't know what to create for them. We don't know what to do with them yet. And it is a bit of a journey, and a journey that people like you and I, Peter, are on at the moment to find out what people want to use them for and how we can kind of make stuff that will make that happen. So yeah, it was really interesting to hear from him. He said voice is a billion-person platform, but people don't know how to use it. I think that's true in the sense of people don't know exactly the length and breadth of what this tech can do, either from the user side or from the creator side.
And also he mentioned about how it's not just a transaction that you're trying to get out of people. It's kind of four step levels, if you like. First of all, there's the awareness, and then there's the trialing, and then there's the buying, and then after sales as well. So those different levels of transaction, it's not just once only. You've got to, first of all, go through those in a little bit more depth, a sentence or two on each. First of all, awareness. Now, Sue's awareness of skills is something really problematic, isn't it? It's something we've spoken about several times here, also in real life as well. And also it's been mentioned at several of the presentations we've been to in London, and also the ones we've watched online as well, and also some of the articles that we've read online. But discovery, awareness, whether it be flash briefings or whether it be of skills, is still not really there, is it?
That's right. You know, and I think really he was kind of speaking about it in terms of kind of content marketing and how this kind of fits into it and how it can be used to raise awareness of your brand. And I think that is really, you know, that's great. That's amazing. That is exactly what voice should be able to do. If you're creating a flash briefing or a skill, it will get your name out there, but only if people are able to discover it. And, you know, as you say, Peter, we've spoken to the people even at Amazon and sort of said, you know, the skills store, do people really know it's there? If they know it's there, do they know what it is they're looking for in there? Is it easy enough to use? You know, there are people out there who don't realize that there are these third-party apps called skills that you can effectively download, enable onto your smart speaker, your Alexa, and you know, widen what that tech can do for you. So yeah, discoverability is massive, and he's totally right in the fact that, you know, in the world of commerce, this is a way of getting your brand out there into the world. But it really is only if the platforms creating this tech actually pull their socks up a bit, really.
Absolutely. And when it comes to something like flash briefings, of course, you got to ironically tap the screen half a dozen times before you actually find a flash briefing. It's not laid out very well. The different sections aren't there. And please don't get Suze started on the ratings and the rankings of flash briefings. It's something I agree with. That does seem to be a little bit, shall we say, dodgy about how people are ranked and how you find them within a particular niche or subject category. Let's move on quickly. Suze, I know we'll talk about that if we give her a chance on another occasion. Also, there's the trialing. So trialing a skill and making it available, making it attractive to people to actually give it a go. Now, I was listening to someone very recently who said, oh, I've had loads of trials. I'm really successful. Loads of people are trying my skill. Not many people actually use it every day, but loads are trialing it, and that means it's really successful. Well, to my mind, that's not really successful. What that means is a lot of people are trialing it, they're finding you, they're intrigued, they're enticed to use it, but only intrigued or enticed it to buy it once. You want repeat usage of that. You want people to come back and to use your experience time and time again. You may have great brand awareness for a new packet of biscuits, but if people buy it and yeah, blimey, I'm not going to eat those again, then you failed. You want people to come back time and time again. And also, if they're coming back time and time again, of course, what they're doing is not only are they using it more, but they're more likely to recommend usage of it to other people. And personal verbal recommendation is something that comes really at a premium. And talking about premium, Suze, let's move on to buying. So once you purchase something through a skill, then really you're kind of locking people into that a bit more. They really do like it if they're handing over hard cash, because of all skills start off at the free basis, don't they?
That's right. That's right. And actually, in-skill purchasing is something that's only very recently been rolled out across kind of Europe and the UK included in that. And it really allows for this kind of gated content so that creators can make a little bit of money out of the skills that they create by giving this kind of free content, first of all, to whet your appetite, but then suggesting that actually, if you want more, if you want, more questions in this quiz, then, pay this amount, and your skill will then be updated and upgraded to that level, so that you're then entering a kind of premium content area. It's a great idea. It's certainly the way that it's going to go. Obviously, people aren't going to do things for free forever. We want to make some money from it. In terms of purchasing stuff through Alexa as well, obviously we've got to think about the fact that Amazon are there to be that big marketplace and to take their share as well. But yeah, in terms of in-skill purchasing, it's very, very new. And people are just kind of getting to grips with it, really, creators here, I think. And it is all about making sure that you're offering enough value in that free content that people can see the value in actually handing over that money, or, as it is actually being asked that question, which this is where the frictionless thing comes in again, isn't it? In that it's easier for you to just say, yes, I want more of that and I want it now. And it gives you that instant satisfaction by literally providing what it is that you're buying. But actually it's not really, you're not getting the money out of your purse and paying it. It is literally through voice. So it's one of those, it's a bit like the very easy one click on Amazon, isn't it? Where it's just all there, buy it now, done. And you almost don't think about it. It's clever.
And also, don't forget that after-sales service, which is really important as well, maybe for future upgrades, but also that after-sales service, which means, as we've spoken about before, not making people go through the skill every time they open it right from the start, but using that card technique where people are jumping to points that they want to go from, rather than forcing them to start at the beginning of that process. And also, as part of that, remembering their name, where they were last time, what they were doing last time, maybe how many points they've got or what they particularly enjoy doing, or the kind of question that they keep asking. So essentially a wider funnel than just a transaction. So if you think of your funnel like that, then it's more different things going into that final point than just that awareness, trial, buy, and after sales service, and so on. And also Ravi was talking about repeat usage. We mentioned that just now, and dwell times, making them stay on the platform for longer, giving them a richer, deeper, more engaging experience, helping them to convert without a hard sell, but giving them something, some kind of knowledge of what is there already. And you know what, if you're on an app, very often I think to myself, well, I don't know whether I want to spend 99p or whether or not I'm going to actually be spending a couple of pounds or several pounds, because you haven't given me the basis of that experience for free. I don't mind a watermark, but I want to know what it is that I am getting, first of all, before I give some stone cold hard cash for it. Ravi finished off by saying, build and engage an audience, particularly after service as well. Suze, anything else you wanted to add to what Ravi was saying?
No, I think I really liked the way that he presented it within this kind of content marketing context. All of this language is you know, very, very familiar to anyone working in kind of content marketing. And he's right, you know, it's not about that hard sell, as you say. It's not about being transactional. It's about adding value. It's about creating something that people can engage with, build a relationship with, trust in, and then all of those lovely things kind of translate into what they think about your business, and therefore that continues that relationship, and hopefully they then go further, dig deeper, dig into their pockets and buy more. But I mean, anyone that wants to find out more about in-skill purchasing, or about this kind of gated level of skills that's kind of coming out, as I say, being rolled out really right now. Albert is actually going to be speaking at our event in July, which is at Amazon UK in London. He's going to be speaking a little bit about in-skill purchasing, just a, you know, deeper than we have done this evening at the event. So the event is actually an introduction to voice technology. Myself and Peter are going to be hosting it, as I say, in London at the headquarters of Amazon. And we've got Albert coming along from Amazon to speak to us specifically about in-skill purchasing, because, you know, this is the newest part of this tech at the moment, and something that people are obviously very, very interested in. So if you want to come along to that, the tickets have completely kind of gone so quickly that it's been amazing. We've added on a very few extra seats for Tuesday the 16th of July, so there are still a few there that are available. It's free to come along, but we do need you to sign up via the Eventbrite link so that we know how many people to expect on the night. And if that's something you're interested in, then check the comments after this episode and I'll drop the link in there so that you can sign up.
Let's quickly also talk about Argos, because Adriana Andujar was there from Argos. If you're not aware what Argos is, it's an unusual kind of concept for a store, but it's been around decades here in the UK. I've travelled extensively in the US. I'm not aware of anything particularly similar over there, so maybe it's unique to us. But it started off as a catalogue store, but essentially what it is there are no shelves, there are no aisles to walk down. You have a catalogue at home. Nowadays you have an app, or you can go into one of their stores and use a touch screen actually in their stores. Everything is behind the scenes. So you write down the order number for the item you want, you take it to the desk and you pay for it, and then a couple of 3 minutes later, out comes your product from behind the scenes. The point about that is, of course, that they don't actually have to have thousands of items on display. It's all on racks and shelves behind the scenes. And also some of them, even though they are proper branded goods, they come in more kind of plain packaging, which means that they are cheaper for Argos to buy, so therefore it's cheaper for you to buy. It sounds a strange concept, but it does really work. If you like, it's a kind of Amazon bricks and mortar store. I think that's a really good way of putting it that I've just come up with. I think that's quite good. I should have said that 3 minutes ago, shouldn't I? We're just all that rambling. So what have they been doing, Suze, to try and evolve themselves into the smart speaker age? Well, first of all, they've decided to go with Google, haven't they?
They have, and they say that they're the only retailer to have a Google Assistant action at the moment. So the idea here is that the customer can actually ask Google Assistant via the Argos action to reserve a certain product. So say your kettle's on the blink, that was the example that they used on the evening. You could say, hey Google, reserve me a kettle at Argos, and in terms of the actual user experience of it, I know you and me, Peter, kind of chatted about this a little bit afterwards as to whether or not this really works just as a voice only action, or whether or not it really needs a screen, because obviously what Argos then can come back with is, yes, we have these in stock, and can then read a list out of the kettles that they've got in stock and perhaps the price of those kettles. You and I, Peter, have said, we want to actually see what it is we might be reserving in order to go down to the shop and pick up at a later date. We might even really want to hold it and have a look at it properly. But whether or not it would work truly as just a voice description, and whether we want to stand there and listen to a list, our brains are can only really hold so much information as it is. I think it's kind of, after you've been told 3 things, you tend to start forgetting whatever it is. You get kind of information overload. So to have to try and hold on to that and try and work out, well, that one's a better brand that I've heard of, or that one's a cheaper price, and then to work it out, I'm not too sure about the experience of it. But yeah, I mean, their whole idea was to find this kind of tone of voice that they could use, and to make it easier for their customers to order their products via voice. So certainly, all of this at the moment seems very kind of experimental, different people coming into it and giving it a go for their brand and their business. Perhaps it's not spot on at the moment, but it's certainly a start.
Absolutely. And they've dipped their toe in the water, and they're certainly investing quite a lot of time and money and effort and staffing into building up that particular action. And a couple of things that came from what you were just mentioning there, Suze, just to finish off, was, you know what? I think sometimes people decide, we've spoken about this before on the show, people decide to, because we can do it in voice, we should do it in voice. And I don't think always that's the very best policy. Obviously, something like Argos, where perhaps you want to see something, maybe, although I don't believe Adriana mentioned this, writing it in conjunction with speakers which have a screen on them, then that would obviously make a little bit more sense. Then, of course, you've got the grey area between when it is a smart speaker screen actually turning into a tablet. I was listening to something the other day that was talking about having job listings by voice. And I thought, you know what? There's nothing worse, because if I'm searching for a job, I'm very happy where I am at the moment, as I know Suze can testify, although I can't actually tell you where that is. However, if I was looking for another job, I'm more likely to be scanning a paper product, a newspaper or a magazine or something like that, or scanning through a website, because your eyes can dart around and you can see keywords, and automatically you can see perhaps a salary or what the title is that you might get or where it's based. You can do that in a second. But to have a smart speaker read out all of those details in a monotonous voice, sentence by sentence, would actually drive me crazy. But anyway, also what Adriana was still talking about was, as Suze mentioned there, the tone of voice. So the tone of voice of the Argos brand is something that obviously fits in with its high street connections. It's cheap, it's cheerful, but they've got branded products. It's fun, it's sparky. They've gone perhaps a little bit upmarket in the last couple of years, because they joined forces with a couple of other big major retailers on the high street. But, what we're saying is, what is the actual voice? What does it sound like? If you've got a human being, and obviously they wouldn't have a human being reading for thousands of different products, but what is the tone of the voice if you are having a human being? And what is the actual tones, the musical tones that maybe you're using between different sections of that skills experience as well? Does it fit in with the overall theme, the overall sound of what your brand is?
Yeah, and I suppose Argos are kind of lucky, a big store, a big company like that, in that they have actually already got TV adverts, radio adverts, all that kind of stuff that they can draw on for that, to create that experience for people through the smart speaker. But you know, I could definitely sit here and talk for another hour about sound and sonic branding and things. It is fast becoming my new favorite topic in all of this. I think what I'm going to do actually to bring this full circle is talk about what she ended on, which was about discoverability, which does bring us full circle for the evening, in terms of the fact that even this massive store that's got stores in all these different cities and towns across the country, she was saying promoting it to customers to enable them to find and use it was a challenge. You know, they're a massive store. She was saying they're promoting it on the web, they've got a promotional video out there, in store. You know, they've obviously got areas where they can really promote this to lots and lots of people, and even they are finding it hard to get their Google action discovered. So, you know, in a way that makes little old me feel okay about it. But on the other hand, it is truly a big problem for the platforms, and they are going to have to sort it out.
And I think, as they said, 2,000 users in the first week, I believe, and forgive me if I've misquoted, 2,000 users in the first week, they're ecstatic. So that kind of puts things into perspective, doesn't it? And it's funny how you know, different people, we were sitting next to each other at this event and we're coming up with slightly different takes on things. And the key quote for me was talking, and we kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier on, about the tone and about how you write the actual skill or the action or whatever it is. And you don't know, Adriana was saying, just to conclude, you don't know how people are going to be talking to your skill. We've spoken about this before with the testing, the user testing with human beings, also the Wizard of Oz testing situation that we've spoken about and explained previously on previous shows. And you don't know how people are going to be interacting with your skill. We've also spoken about CBeebies and the number of tests that the CBeebies skill went through. And it wasn't until it was launched that they realized that something was wrong and had to work out what it was in their flow process and how they'd actually constructed one particular part of that meant that it was falling down. It was failing midway through. The quote from Adriana: as designers, we don't get to create the underlying elements of a conversation. In other words, we can sit at a desk and type it all out and think we know what people are going to do. But because there are umpteen billion people out there who potentially are going to be using this skill, or in the case of Argos, 60 million people in the UK, for example, all who may ask for a product in a slightly different way. And you've got to be able to recognize that and work with that as part of your skill. And that doesn't mean dozens and dozens of different examples of how people can ask, but having those key words and hopefully working with the what's under the bonnet from Google or Bixby or Siri or Cortana or Lexi herself, that it's able to pick out those keywords and to recognize what that request actually means.
Absolutely. And I think on that note, we will round up for this evening and kind of finish our chat about that particular meetup. I'm sure there'll be another meetup coming along soon, Peter, that we'll be attending and going to, and we'll obviously be more than happy to share what we've learned and what we've heard right here on the VoiceWorks page on Facebook. So yeah, if you want to find out more about us, or you want to hear more about the voice tech world, then do follow us on Twitter. I'm at Big Tent Social and Peter is at Tweeter Stewart. But for now, I'm going to say goodbye.